Hello, everybody, and welcome to House of Horrors. I'm glad to see so many people hyping in the chat right now. And here's Trevor. How you doing, Trevor?
Hey, doing great. Doing great. Glad to be here, man.
So, I guess an introduction. I assume everybody here knows the Mystery Flash Pit National Park, but if you don't, I'll be putting a link in chat. I'll be pasting it from time to time so people who are just joining in might know what we're on about. If you guys don't know, the Mr. Flash Pit is kind of a world building project. Could be a good way of saying
it. I still have yet to get like a good single phrase to really describe it. Like world building art, weird blog, web 1.0 kind of thing.
Web 1.0. I like that. I like the web 1.0 vibes. So yeah, it's kind of a world building thing where sometime in the 70s, some miners discover this huge underground, huge organism underground that they start exploring, and really quickly some company takes over. They start
just a bunch of Texans doing what Texans Americans do. Just some good old boys just having a good time.
Yeah.
Things got a little bit out of hand.
A little bit.
Might have got a little bit too excited. Start turning it into how can we make money from this? How can we make more money from this? And things just going okay until they were not, and
that's a good way.
That's what I've tried to catalog with the series is this kind of painting a picture in small little strokes here and there.
Of it's fantastic. I really love, and that's like one of the main things that I wanna talk about is your method of delivery of telling stories. It's not you're not just going in and telling folks the lore. You are presenting them with little artifacts that give out clues as to what happened.
Yeah. I trying to just paint what is essentially an incomplete story with kind of incomplete pieces. Just little glimpses here and there. I know a lot of people, they come to the website and they email me or they tweet at me, what order am I supposed to read any of this in? And really, there's no set order. I frequently go to the website, to the Tumblr page, and intentionally rearrange things just to kind of keep it fresh. I'm trying to constantly. Yes. None of it is in chronological order, even of what I posted. Because I try to I'm very cognizant of someone coming to the page. What are the first kind of things that they see? To kind of draw them in and kind of lure them. Hey, come scroll down. There's some more. Yeah.
I like it. I guess a lot of people discovered it through YouTube. When it kind of blew up, right? If I understand the timing of things correctly.
Absolutely. Credit goes to Wendigoon, his video. Excellent video, breaking it down. That really exploded it. It had a kind of niche presence, but man, after that, it took off.
I mean, I guess I was one of the OGs. I saw it on, I think it was Reddit, like a long time ago. I don't know, years ago.
So that would have been original, like way, two and a half years ago, where it started. Before there was a website, before there's anything, it's just a bunch of Reddit posts.
Yeah, I saw. No, okay, I do remember seeing the website already existing, so it wasn't that long ago. But I discovered it through Reddit, like someone pointed to it, and it was fantastic because it's not. I guess the video is a great way of getting it out to people in a more like ordered way. But I really loved the idea, the process of just going through the website and just going through things and piecing it together. I love that.
Good. I'm glad that you and many others like that. I so wish that I had a video skill set to really put together these videos. Some of the other guests you've had on this program, like Chris Straub, Trevor Henderson, these kind of analog horror greats.
Yeah.
I so wish I could do that. I can't. That's why I make these little, dumb posters and things like that. Because that's what I can do. So I'm glad that people kind of resonate with that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you've risen to one of my favorite internet projects. Just is.
Thanks.
I don't know.
Okay, can I say before we get too into this? Thank you for having me on. The first time I saw some of your work, the first thing and this would have been maybe a year ago, maybe a year and change, retweeted a voice clip a artist had done over your Amazonian ant poster in the story that you did, talking about Myrmex, the giant Amazonian ant. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Zane, voices by Zane.
Yeah, that's Zane. That's Zane. He did a fantastic job.
I saw that. I listened to that. That was one of the funniest things I have ever heard. In a dark, horrific way.
Yeah.
Hilarious. I love that. Instant follow. This is great. A poster with a giant clown regular sized clown, giant ant.
Yeah.
It was good. So if people in the chat, anyone has not heard that, that's fantastic.
Oh yeah, I wonder, Tom, if you could find that through your internet skills and post it on chat, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, I think I love that, collaborative thing where I did this little story and then someone came in and said, "Hey, can I just build on this a little bit?"
Yes,
it's great.
I think anytime clowns face mortal peril by creatures, I that's close to my heart. I don't know why, but that's I'm gonna be this is the content that I search for.
Oh, I mean, you have a story about that, right? It's the what's the name? Oh, that just pile of clowns.
Oh yeah, the Circus Gaddy incident. Yes.
That's so good. Calcified pile of clowns. That was one of my favorites.
You can't go wrong. Clowns kind of getting hurt on the internet. That's, I don't know. It's a winning formula.
It is. I should do more clown content.
That's the secret to my success.
Clown content.
You got to send in the clowns.
Okay, so apart from the clowns, I want to ask, how did it start? I know a little bit, but I want your version of it. How did this project start?
So where it literally started, I was working at an architecture firm. That's my background. It's in architecture design. This would have been summer of 2019. I'm taking lunch in the little break room area of the office I was working at, and a coworker had, I guess, for breakfast that morning, they had a what was it? A melon, like a cantaloupe melon. But they sliced it in half. They just left half of it just on the counter. And so that, by now, it's 1 in the afternoon, and it's getting pretty ripe. It's not doing good. And so as I'm waiting for my little whatever my lunch was to heat up in the microwave, I'm looking at this kind of beginning to rot cantaloupe half, and I'm like, that is so gross. It's like a crater. What if you were little and you were standing right on the edge of that? Wouldn't that be just horrible? But I whipped out my my camera and took a picture of it, and over my lunch break I was like, yeah, okay, we'll position that. And I found a picture on the internet of I think it's the Kimberley Diamond Mine in South Africa. It's a big, huge pit mine. Photoshopped that in there, applied a very lazy filter, and I was like, wow, that looks horrific. Let's make it neat instead of like cantaloupe or whatever.
Yeah.
And then why? Okay, what is this? What is this thing here? So some kind of meat thing in the ground. Why not a national park? I'm a big fan. I've been many times to Carlsbad Caverns here in the United States, in New Mexico. So I thought, well, it's a cave, so it's kind of like that. So we'll do a park, and it was already kind of getting pulpy enough that I was like, oh, okay, well, we need to have some horrible mining oil companies doing something to it, and and so that it was just kind of a joke made over a lunch break.
But the basic concept came in really quickly, like it all tied together really quickly.
Yes, it all kind of just came together, and I really did not think that much about it. I just threw it up. I was like, that's funny. It's a disturbing, weird thing. And then people really kind of gravitated towards it, and I started thinking about it of like, well, okay, how would they really do this? What would be the challenges to going down into this big living thing? What would this living thing actually be? So that was the seed that really kind of started the whole thing off.
That's very interesting. I was wondering like what the origin was. I was imagining it would have been something more like more tied to the cosmic horror of it. Like exploring this old forgotten like godlike creature deep underground.
Well,
it has a lot of cosmic horror things.
Yes,
but I really love that it came from a rotten melon.
Yeah, that's the fun story. That's like the really kind of just goofy, this weird. It was based on a rotting melon in an office lunchroom. I would say the broader themes of it came from growing up in West Texas, surrounded by the oil economy. Like I said, I mentioned several times, I've been to the Carlsbad Caverns National Park, which is a enormous cavern system where you descend from the surface. There's a gigantic kind of opening down into this cavern, and it feels very much like you're being kind of swallowed by the earth. And several times I had been walking through that, was like, what if this was like a giant, what if this was alive? What if it was, or what kind of weird cave creatures live down here? And being inspired at the very base of this cavern, after you hike all the way to the bottom, there's a kind of lunch area where they have a whole kind of restaurant set up with
in
like
the bottom of the cavern.
Yes, in the bottom of the cavern, where they've paved with concrete. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And they have lights, and there's ventilation and things, and they have these little kiosks for selling T-shirts and little like plastic hard hats with the little mining light and such, with the logo of the national parks, and the architecture is all this kind of mid-century, very futuristic kind of concrete and space age looking stuff. Very kind of incongruous, and reading about the history of that park, how you used to be able to like buy cigarettes or a cigar down there back in like the 50s or 60s, and just thinking this is nuts. Like these rocks and these formations in this cave, these are hundreds of millions of years old. They before someone shone a flashlight on it, they had never seen light.
Yeah.
But then now, no, you can like buy a Dr. Pepper and a sandwich, and smoke a pack of cigarettes, and it's make a day of it. And anyone who's been to Carlsbad Caverns, like,
that's crazy. I've never seen. I've seen like caverns that are kind of turned into the more touristic attractions where they. You'll get like little paths paved and that kind of stuff, but never to that level. That's crazy. Like putting out a restaurant.
Well, and today, the modern day, they kind of, I think around the 80s, they realized kind of what a bad idea that was, and so they kind of stopped a lot. I mean, the buildings are still down there. They don't fry stuff in the skip. I think that it's just like granola bars and water now, but. Yeah. when you look at some of the old pictures where they have hundreds of people down there, like eating fried chicken, and it's like, this is insane. I cannot believe this is a real thing. Like, this is taxpayer kind of.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that's crazy. I love that. I didn't know that that sort of thing existed, and you can clearly see that in the
Oh
flesh
yeah,
pit.
yeah. That's what I was saying. Anyone
They
who's
build
been
this
to Carlsbad
huge.
Caverns is like, oh, okay, I get what the flesh pit. He just like ripped all of it off of this. They even did mining. They did guano mining out of that
Hmm.
cavern, and so like they'll show you like they had these huge big like buckets and mining tractors and so it's
That's
barely any of the flesh pit is original is what I'm getting at.
yeah,
It's
yeah. No,
I
I
just I
mean
just ripped it off and just put a new label on it. But
exactly. But that's great. That's great. It's yeah. Tom in chat says watching people deal with cosmic horror through like a normal human lens is very interesting, and it feels like if in real life we came across this huge terrible thing on the ground, we would do that, and there would be scientists making up all sort of weird lingo and miners trying to exploit it, and people trying to like contain it or protect people from it. It's all those sorts of things feel so plausible. Feel so much like what real everyday humans, how they would react to finding that sort of thing.
that's what I've tried to do with it is to explore what realistically would happen, while also kind of adding in a little bit of pulp and a little bit of
Hmm.
uh, disbelief, just to make it kind of fun.
Yeah,
I am very okay with the kind of philosophy of bending it a little bit just for rule of cool,
yeah.
just to try to make it like, okay, probably this specific thing wouldn't have happened,
Hmm.
but that kind of that otherwise you don't get things like cool weird vehicles and kind of absurd advertisements and such. So
Yeah, yeah, you gotta bend it a little bit, or like the creatures inside. People are hyped in the chat about the finger shrimps that appear, the
finger,
copepods.
yes,
They call it finger
yes.
shrimps. Uh, those kinds of creatures are not like plausible, but neither is a huge underground mega
No, yeah,
organism. So
no.
like, I mean,
I
you gotta
have
do it.
zero background in any kind of biology or zoology. I know next to nothing. I think I watched a video about mantis shrimp, and that was, like, oh wow, that's really messed up. That's horrible. What a horrible little creature. What if they were giant? That's
Exactly. We both have that method. I mean, my series is about giant bugs. Yours has giant bugs as well. Like it's
bugs are interesting and they're horrible.
yeah.
Thank God they're small. That's the honest that I, the little bit I've read now because of this project about prehistoric giant arthropods and things like that.
Hmm.
Millipedes that are 6 feet long. It's no thanks, man. That's
Yeah,
horrible.
yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, but big bugs are peak aesthetic, peak
Yes.
design. Big bugs and cool cars and cool vehicles. It's like so you do so you've been doing architecture before doing this. That was your
Yes.
main thing, right?
Yeah, that's I went to school for architecture and design. Kind of less buildings specifically, but I knew that to kind of study the things to be able to produce the things I want to produce. I wanted to know things like the software, the techniques
Mm-hmm.
for representation, illustration, uh, and so I that has really helped me to kind of figure out, how am I going to approach something like some kind of pit vehicle or
Mm.
say a ranger station down here. I can it kind of gave me the tools to look at this analytically and figure out, okay, well, what are the basic logistical concerns of this
Hmm.
what kind of materials, how are people going to get down in here? How is this going to be? If they have, say, the visitor center at the bottom of the flesh pit, and they have, like a Coca-Cola fountain dispenser, how are they going to get the bottles of carbonation, down there? How are they going to get
Hmm.
wheelchair? So that I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Um,
it shows. It shows. I think I read it on your Twitter or something. I read you were an architect. I was like, of course. Like that. Now it all clicks. All the diagrams with the buildings and that kind of thing is you can really
oh
see the
yeah,
background there.
saved in my kind of digital library of reference material on my computer is easily 1,000 plus kind of cutaways, military, industrial,
Hmm.
buildings, cars, equipments, geology, space, whatever. I love that kind of stuff.
That's so good. And they're usually my favorites out of the stuff you put out. It's the either those cutaways or the little flyers with the maps and stuff. That kind of stuff. It feels so realistic. I love it.
It's fun to make. It's fun to really dive into something completely implausible, like some kind of cosmic horror, but then
Hmm.
go like, well, okay, but how do we depict this in a way that to the casual observer they might just kind of look at the thumbnail and go, what the hell is that? Why have I not heard? Like, my favorite thing is when I see tweets or comments on YouTube videos where people are asking if it's real. That is like
Yeah.
perfect. Like,
I love it. I love it. It happens to me a lot too, and then it's always a little. On the one hand, you kind of get worried and start thinking like, oh, what they start using this as like misinformation and that kind of thing. But
there is
on the
some.
other
I
hand,
I'm not
there's
gonna
a little
I'm
tinge
not
of
gonna
pride.
list any channel names, but there's more than one YouTube channel that have talked about the flesh pits as if it was a kind of some kind of government conspiracy, or
Oh no.
and that is, to me, is amazing that people are here talking like, well, yeah, I used to live down in Amarillo, and I was a trucker, and I remember that back in the 80s, and they're covering it up, like, it's God bless the internet, man.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, I've had people. I have the whole range from people that just sincerely believe something I put out. I once had. I once did a picture of a mermaid, right? And it was an edited picture of a beach whale, and I just changed the upper part of the whale into a more humanoid body, but still like kind of whale-like. A lot of people uh, it went viral and started being spread around like without context. So a lot of people started believing it. I actually got an interview on local radio in Canada where I had said the story, and they were like, "Oh, and how do you come across a little village?" And after I do this interview on the radio, I get an email, and it's this person telling me, "Oh, I'm so glad you talked about mermaids and this picture and stuff. I love it, and I would know because I am a mermaid." And I'm like,
There we
this
go.
completely out of the blue,
Hell yes.
and she was like, this person was super nice and polite and stuff. So I just kind of and they even like bought some prints of the picture. They were like,
Nice.
so I was just like, oh, thank you. I didn't even comment on the mermaid thing. Oh, what a coincidence! I happened to hear this thing on the radio, and yeah,
Love
but
that.
there's just people like that out there, and yeah, it's weird when people like take it so seriously.
I One of my biggest regrets with the project, the Flesh Pit, this would have been 2020. I was approached by uh, a guy in Midland, Texas, which is kind of a big oil hub
Hmm.
here in Texas. And he did kind of a radio program, both on like satellite radio, internet, and then regular radio. And they would do kind of culture and arts around that region. And he contacted me. He said, "Hey, I'm a big fan of the Mystery Flesh Pit. Would you be interested in coming on for a Halloween episode?" we want to do kind of a Orson Welles War of the Worlds type thing,
Mhm.
where we're doing a piece as if we're going to the the Permian Basin Nature Preserve, and then some the 2000 or whatever and we'll play it like it's completely real.
Oh.
Like we will, and for reasons I won't get into, we ended up not. I ended up not doing that with them,
Yeah.
but man, every day since I've been like, I should have done that. That would have
That's
been
very
fantastic.
good. That's very good at Orson Welles kind of. Yeah, and it's like divorced from the internet, where
Yes.
it's very easy nowadays if you do that. If you try to do that sort of thing, people can just like Google it and really quickly find out. But in this like non-internet sphere, you'd probably like freak a lot of people out at the very least. It would be a very funny
It would have been very
experience.
funny, probably with the current, we'll say, cultural and political climate. But you could be feeding some things, so maybe it's better we didn't. But
new new conspiracy theory.
yes,
God, Tom was mentioning it on TED before. Another one of those experiences where someone will take my stuff for real. I suddenly get on Twitter, I get a quote tweet within this weird thread, and I start like scrolling up the thread, and it's just this thread of strange black and white pictures and this kind of stuff. And I scroll up, and and I get to the first one. It says, "This is my thread compiling all the proof that dragons exist."
oh
And it
yes,
used some of my bugs and stuff that didn't even make sense within the dragon theory, but it used that one that was kind of dragon-like, which is how I found out. But of course, I click on this person's profile, and it says like some QAnon stuff. I'm like, oh my
oh there we
god,
go.
there they are. I tweeted about it. I got people to like tweet at him, so to pressure him to like stop or delete that at least. Never listened, but eventually I remember we came back to that account. Uh, must have been a few months later, and it was the account was banned. So at least we
Okay,
had we had justice.
the powers that be, they don't want you talking about the dragons, man. That's high level deep state knowledge there. That's you can't.
Exactly. It's the dragons, big bugs, the flesh pits. It's all
Mm-hmm.
out there if you dig for it. It's crazy. It's crazy. Well, and I guess my point from before is kind of moot to it, where if you did this thing on the internet, people would Google it and not believe it, because there's some people that won't. There's some people that just take it at face value.
Oh
Even
yeah,
with
no.
that.
Some of the videos I'd mentioned, people in the video and in the comments are saying Trevor Roberts. Well, no, he's a plant. He was put. That's he's and it's no. There's a great video of this guy talking about it, and he goes, we're supposed to believe that this Trevor Roberts. He just came up with this. He just made it up. That's how convenient. It's like that's all right.
Oh,
Yeah, it's just I love that.
very convenient that you had the imagination to do that.
I guess, man.
Oh my god. I don't know. People I think some people will tend that tend to towards this more conspiratorial mindset. Will like convince
Well,
themselves of something and
it's
then
interesting.
just take the all the discard all the evidence that contradicts it. So there's no token sense into them. We can only come
I
here and
I,
laugh about it.
I understand it to some degree. It's very alluring. I think this idea that there's more to reality than what you see.
Yeah.
That there are fantastic elements about the world that through either direct active means like a conspiracy or obscured or just well, you cannot prove that there aren't dragons, that kind of thing. So I definitely get it. I mean that's kind of that why I like horror to begin with is the what if you don't know for sure. It might be. There might be a gigantic 400-mile diameter flesh pit in the middle of Texas.
Yeah. I love that, and I think both of our, and I think that's why I get literally since I started posting horror, every post that kind of blows up or that gets a lot of comments, there's always one of them telling me you should check out the Mystery Flesh Fit. You'll love it. It's completely, and I'm like, yeah, we I think we both capture that same vibe of these like things that are in the real world, but that you don't know about.
I'm so glad that like you and Trevor Henderson, Chris Straub, all of these artists who are kind of doing this kind of, I feel almost it's kind of a renewed kind of renaissance of web horror, second wave. I think earlier internet there was a lot of this kind of horror, but it was much less structured. It was very organic and emergent in the way, kind of the, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you would find just weird websites. And that's all it was. You had no idea of the authors. You had no idea that it was fake. It was just here is this little piece of scary, terrifying content, and that's all you get. There's no explanation. Favorite thing.
The creepypasta era.
Those early days.
Yeah, the early days. Called the Wild West. Nobody was credited. People just copy pasting stuff everywhere. And you get these things that are still like well known today. I mean, you get Slenderman, and you get SCP. That thing was born through these kind of copy pasted anonymous 4chan posts. It's
some of the old what would they call them, the what is it, woods threads, where they would talk about these camping trips or kind of hiking excursions, and some of the most creative and compelling horror writing that I've ever read was on things like 4chan. 2 a.m. on some Tuesday, that there are these people out there creating this super well done, and no credit, just putting it out there temporarily. People could enjoy it. So I really like that, just the art for the art's sake kind of mentality.
Yeah, I really like that. I guess the real Web 3.0 is the new creepypasta. That's
well, I see somebody in the chat mentioned Ted the Caver. Yeah, absolutely.
Ted the Caver. Yeah, what a classic.
Ted the Caver. If any of the viewers at home have not read through Ted the Caver, I strongly endorse it.
Yes.
If you were into the Flesh Pit at all and you don't know Ted the Caver, please check it out. Phenomenal.
Yeah, if you guys, if someone in chat doesn't know Ted the Caver, it's this blog from the era when blogs were this common thing of just some guy called Ted just going into this cave that he found and exploring it at his own pace and just posting about it. And it's there's no, I mean, just read through it. There's probably an archived version somewhere. I don't know if the page is still up. Someone just put a link in chat.
Angel Fire, there we go.
Angel Fire, that's like
OG
deep cut. Yeah, definitely give it a read later. It's some, I think, a formative internet horror experience.
And there's so many great things. I mean, Ted the Caver, so glad that it's been archived, but there are so many other things that were fantastic that I've spent years trying to locate. They didn't even have a name. They were just kind of a weird, super long URL to some really obscure site and gone forever, but really...
Yeah,
the internet's where the real scary stuff is.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad that it's like, an era of the internet where, a lot of it isn't archived. It's just... Yeah, Dionia House is another fantastic one that people mentioned in chat. You can find it; it's still archived somewhere. It's on the you can find it through the Internet Archive. The original page is not there anymore.
I'm not familiar with Dionia House.
Oh, then definitely I'll find you a link later to the archived page, because you gotta jump through different pages. It's this whole kind of multimedia project. It's very good.
cool.
Yeah, the biggest lie ever is once you post something online, it'll be there forever. Yeah, the big lie of digital media being this kind of eternal thing that never deteriorates, it gets deleted.
It's all going to be gone someday. It's all of it. It's going to degrade or just not get hosted or web 4.0, 5.0. It's
when we all live in this
was,
virtual reality spaces controlled by Facebook,
yeah, gosh,
we won't be able to see Ted the Caver anymore.
That's some cosmic horror in its own kind of way.
That's dystopian.
That's not even scary. That's just depressing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're just getting older and getting nostalgic, but I just like it's what you said before. Your project is Web 1.0. It's just a website. You go there, and well, I guess it's a Tumblr, so it is 2.0. But it has
because again, my coding knowledge is zero. I cannot code to save my life.
Yeah, understandable. Me neither. Yeah, I have a website. It's WordPress as well, so it's platform.
It's good.
It's
good. It's a good site.
Metaverse creepypasta. What does that look like? Tom, that is just the metaverse. It's scary. The concept is so scary. You don't need any horror put on top of it.
Well, I think it's interesting. You want to get back into kind of analog horror. This is kind of the current moment that we're in. I find it fascinating that so many of artists kind of making this. They all kind of a shared theme is this very analog driven presentation and setting of this is a tape of a scary thing, or this is a adopting the aesthetics of a kind of educational, in the case of something like Gemini Home Entertainment. And myself kind of I intentionally set the Mystery Flesh Pit in kind of the 70s, 80s, and 90s is kind of when the heyday of it was, or basically all the way up to when things like cell phones and social media really became prevalent.
Yeah. Because
I think my feeling of it is because we're in it, it's difficult to try to imagine and create a horror because of the nature of the internet as it is now in society, where so many things, something happens on the other side of the world, and within 4 hours, billions of people know about it. And there's by having something like tape or an old broadcast kind of frames it and locks it in such that you can tell the story and cut off these kind of, well, okay, if this was real, how come there's not 1,000 videos of this? And this and so I am curious what kind of the next thing is going to be for people who do understand how to set horror based in kind of our current climate.
I think it can definitely be done. I think we're just at the age of that nostalgia for those times, right? For those pre-internet times, or pre-mass internet, I guess. But I think at some point I just imagine how cool would it be to have some sort of analog horror style, but set like, I don't know, in just not that long ago, or like old school YouTube, for example. Imagine this analog horror series set as a series of Minecraft gameplays that happen, that just a kid is playing, and the horrors start through there, and it's just this video in 240p that 3 people have ever seen. I think there's space for that, even on the mass internet. You can still have like weird corners and forgotten things. It's just different.
Well,
I think it'll take a little time to pick up.
The kind of core idea of that all of this, horror films, analog horror, creepypasta, all kind of are extensions of this scary kind of campfire story.
Yeah.
just telling the oral tradition of storytelling, of telling a scary story, where it is a thing that happened, and that's how you know about it, is because it happened in the past. So I'm sure there'll always be an element of it, it's always going to lag. I'd be interested to see a web horror story that is unfolding in the present day, like as the reader is this is unfolding. There's a couple things that come close, I think. I know there's a couple YouTube series that kind of did that, but I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm excited to see what the new stuff is going to be.
Yeah, I feel like there's always, even in like, Petscop came to mind. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, that is very cool.
It's kind of current in like the presentation, but it's playing an old video game. Like it still has a vintage element to it. It's not like.
As far as I know, I think about things like TikTok and Snapchat, where the kind of ephemeral, temporary nature might play something into it. I don't know. There's more development to be done.
Yeah, it's definitely something
as an invitation to people, to any creators, that there is a wide open field of stuff to do in this kind of genre and format. It's anything but played out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like people are still too stuck in the videotape era. I think it needs to expand from that. It needs to find other places to use that same storytelling method, but like change up the medium. I would love to see that.
Also, I mean, let's be real though. The VHS aesthetic is cool as hell.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big reason why it's persisted as long as it has, because there's something really satisfying with the kind of clunky physical nature as a storage medium.
Yeah, and there's glitches. It helps. Everything glitchy, broken helps with the horror.
Yes.
It helps you hide the creature, hide whatever you're trying to obscure. That's very important always in horror. So anything that's glitchy, and I do it. Like I don't do video stuff, or very little video stuff, but I do the same thing with old photos and try to use those quirks and glitches and the light leaking into the negative and kind of washing out a part of the image. Those kinds of things it's the same thing. I'm just doing the same thing, so I can't complain about VHS filters.
Oh man, I'm super guilty of it, dude. It's like, oh geez, like to draw this little element on this brochure is, man, that's gonna be a pain in the ass to do that. Oh, or I could just, whoops, it's scratched out. Oh no.
Whoops, I broke it.
I don't know, I might be telling all the secrets here. I don't
No, I mean, I think it's important part of the creative process. And so I guess I also wanted to talk about that, like how do you actually like do the brochures and stuff, and we'll see a bit later. Because if you guys missed it, we're gonna be showing off a couple brochures we did for like each inspired on the other's work, and we'll have a little time lapse of how each of them were made. So we'll show that later. But you must have a huge library of like old paper textures and that kind of thing. You have some good ones.
Somewhat, not as big as maybe looking at the website might make you think. So many things I have. I have a couple things that are just very large. And so I can like just take a piece of it and just use that same thing. But if you were really analytical and you went through the entire, like, you could easily see how some of these textures have been repeated several times.
Oh yeah, I mean,
or just rotated.
Same for me. I do the same thing all the time. I have this. I'll share these with you. I have to. I'm still scanning them. I literally have a scanner here and a box here, but I have right here. That's part of it only. That's just negatives and stuff. But these are like cards and letters and a bunch of negatives and stuff for my
That
grandfather.
is so cool that it's that you keep the physical artifacts.
Yeah.
The things you find. Do you go like kind of junk hunting for specific, kind of finding stuff?
This I just found it in my grandpa's house, and it was just there. Nobody had checked it in years, so I just took this. It's just it's a bit far away, so I won't go and get it. But it's this big trunk, and it's full of just letters and stuff. But I started digging into that, and there's old ads from like the 1950s, 1940s.
Very cool.
Brochures, which I used I used a bunch of textures from those to make the brochure. I'll show you guys later, and the general like.
That is kick ass that you have the actual physical stuff that you just found. That is so cool.
And I've been scanning them. So I've been scanning them and scanning like the backs of letters and that kind of thing. So I have paper textures. So nice. I'll do like a little folder and stuff and send it to you, so you can add them to your library. Cause
awesome. I don't have a ton of paper textures. I don't know why if you would even want it. I probably have 1,000 pictures of like really just weird machinery details. Photographs and schematics and things like that I reference. I have a lot of pictures of like meat and enough that like if I died and somebody they were like going through my computer and they found that folder, absent of any knowledge of like there would be deep concern of like
the meat folder.
Excuse me, ma'am. We noticed your husband has almost a terabyte of just pictures of meat on his computer. Do you want to tell us about that?
That's so good. Where do you get? Did you take them yourself? Did you go to the meat market and stuff?
I have. So I know we talked about image boards before. Some of those are fantastic sources of people. They'll do just photo dumps of things for artistic reference, for like kind of tabletop gaming flavor background. So I collect them from that. I try to look for Flickr is a great resource. If you just have like 2 hours to spend to just get really deep into Flickr,
you can just filter by license and start finding
you can find some
stuff.
Amazing weird stuff. On the top of my head, not meat related. There's a whole account I found where this guy has gone through and painstakingly drawn plans, like drafted building plans, sections, elevations, everything for the parks at Disney World.
Oh.
And at first I thought, like, oh, is he uploading these? No. This guy, he has done these from observation.
Oh my God.
Like, that's his thing. And so just going and looking through, like, these are incredibly detailed. That this guy has like done these sketches. I love that. So there's that. There's a great, I will get the link and send it to you.
Yeah, I love that.
Collections of these old oceanographic kind of pen and ink scientific illustrations of I think the Getty Library, something like that. Something with the Park Service, the Forestry Service or something. They have a massive library.
Yeah, that's something I love about U.S. copyright law is that by default, any government, any federal agency, or anyone that works for the federal government, anything they upload to the internet is public domain by default.
That
every
is so
NASA
cool
picture, every National Park Service picture, I use them a ton, because they have their archives that go back to like super old stuff. So whenever I need something like some old photos, I tend to go to like the Library of Congress has all of this. Or
I want to say
space stuff. I go to the NASA website and just start downloading stuff. It's great.
I want to say it's the Army Corps of Engineers has a website.
Yeah.
Where it's like a historic survey of American architecture.
Hmm.
But it includes things like bridges, waterways.
Oh, that's good.
But it's fantastic photographs dating back to like pre-Civil War, but also drawings and illustrations, technical kind of things. But I learned about that in architecture school, and have frequently kind of go back to look at some of these 70s kind of EPA ecological kind of studies and reports on stuff to kind of get ideas.
That's very good.
Public domain is a great resource. There's so much,
it's amazing.
So much out there.
We both depend on it. I'd say. Yeah, that's amazing. I recently found out that every music record until 1922 was starting this January was released under public domain, which previously there weren't. So now you can get stuff from like up to the jazz era and just get old records. I know it's probably not useful to like most people, but for me, I'm definitely gonna get some use out of that.
I see with the Flesh Pit, it's late enough in history that I don't know if I've seen that about the copyright, the music from that time. Not useful to the Flesh Pit project, but the next project I'm working on, the next thing, probably hear and see some of that in there.
Ooh, interesting.
We'll see.
I actually wanted to ask about like next things, because I guess you've like, in a way, what blew up was the project, but a lot of people know about Mystery Flesh Pit, I'd say, without necessarily knowing who's behind it. Which I guess means, whatever you put out next, are you going to tie it in some way, or are you just going to start from scratch and see if it does well?
For sure I can say it's not going to be directly related to the Mystery Flesh Pit. I am sick to death of multiverses and this kind of Marvel movie attitude. I think things like references are fine. Like if you want to have some little kind of reference in the background or something, like just to drive people crazy who love to theory craft, and like I'm okay with that. But I don't like the I'm creating a multiverse of horror. I hate that. So it's going to be completely separate. But I will probably, without any shame, use my platform to promote it.
Yeah.
So.
You should.
But I think I'm not going to say too much about it right now, mostly because I am collaborating with somebody. We're not somebody that I'm sure the audience here they know their work, but we're not quite ready to unveil anything yet. And what I've learned a lot from the Flesh Pit, as you mentioned, is kind of a project in progress. That if I was going to do it all over, I would have a lot more of it done and figured out. A lot of the early Flesh Pit was kind of figuring out and developing it as I went. Whereas this new project, it's a lot more like, I want to have everything like figured out, plotted, so that it's all consistent, and I don't have to be like making the stuff, putting my track down as the train is coming rolling forward like I'm doing right now. So,
it's something that you'll do entirely and then release all at once, or are you planning on figuring it out and then just releasing it as you?
I'll say the scope of it is for now smaller than the Mystery Flesh Pit. So it's a much more kind of limited story that we're wanting to tell. And so I would like to have as much of it as possible, as reasonable, done before, so that we can kind of choose how to release it.
That makes sense.
But I will say, if you're a fan of Mystery Flesh Pit, you're probably going to like this.
I assume
it is,
so.
It is. I'm kind of bringing my take, and then the take of this unnamed person I'm working with, kind of their
A
approach. That
secret.
we thought that we found they really meshed really well. Our views of how to make horror. And where if you can view the Flesh Pit as kind of a take on mankind's relationship with the natural world and with things like extraction, mining, tourism, the new project is going to look at ghosts, the occult. So
Ooh,
more of this kind of soft, more spooky,
I
but
love it.
hopefully in a wholly original kind of way,
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
As far as both of us know, has not been done yet. So
That's dope. Hey, if you ever need
stay
help,
stay
let me know.
tuned.
I love ghost
Oh
stuff.
yeah, no, I'm very open to collaboration. I don't have a ton of time, so I'm not a very good work partner, but I love when people with different skill sets
Yeah,
can kind of do stuff
exactly.
together, because the synergy of kind of the combination, you get stuff that kind of by yourselves you couldn't accomplish.
Exactly. I think one of my favorite projects I've done or kind of participated in, I don't know if you've seen it, is the lycanthrope uh,
I saw
history
a little
thing.
bit of that
Yeah.
in one of the other episodes. Yes,
So
I think so.
I that was like a wholly collaborative thing. I'm gonna drop it in chat if for folks that don't know, but it's essentially this like alternate history take on werewolves that combines. It's like basically takes the role of vampires in traditional history, where they're this the aristocratic uh, monster in a way, right? They represent all that's wrong with that, with a class like siphoning life
Yes,
out of the rest. But it's like taking that role that vampires usually occupy and putting werewolves there and doing like this whole like there's this order, this knights order, kind of like the Templars, but made out of werewolves, and they're all like secretly
like it.
plotting. So it's very very fun, and the fun part is collaboration more than anything, because you know I have a very specific skill set. I can make things look like photos. I can attempt that, but I can't paint for my life. So having another artist that is able to paint and kind of complements that. So they'll do, for example, uh, a painting of a werewolf knight, and I'll put it on a frame that makes it look like it's in a museum. So that kind of
Nice.
thing blends together very well. I don't know. I love it. I love collaboration.
Yeah, tremendous production value. That's what it is, man. Is
Mm.
That's cool. I love, anything that really, and you can tell when artists and authors of we'll say horror subjects, when
Mm.
they really understand the subject matter that they're kind of approaching, because that's how you get this really original take and kind of new ideas about things. That,
Mm.
and you mentioned with things like vampires, stemming from this kind of aristocratic kind of fear of this leeching off of society, like
Yeah.
understanding the root cause, things like gothic horror or even like cosmic horror.
Hmm.
Uh, that's something I think internet artists are really keen on. I think they really get it. Hollywood does not. Hollywood like has very little idea lately. I think there was a time they were better at it,
Yeah.
but I think now it's like, which I mean they all make millions of dollars, so obviously they know something. But
Yeah, but they make it out of pre-established things.
yeah,
While I think if you're an individual artist, you can take a risk in a way.
yes,
Uh, you're not putting millions of dollars into this
yeah, on the
project.
line to
Yeah,
It's a
you're kind of
product.
just
It's
trying to be original and banking on the originality, bringing it out to light. So I think there's better incentives for like individual internet artists to try to find like a cool take on a thing, or design something completely new, kind of going to weird new places. So I think that's why there's this huge boom of creativity. And I mean, we're in this like our space.
Well, and the access is easier than it ever has been to make these things. You know, we're just talking about the resources available with public domain, with these online archives, tools like Photoshop. Where 30 years ago would have been. I think about with the flesh pit stuff. If I was trying to do all of that analog with actual gouache tempera paints with photo compositing and then letraset for the graphic design and having all of the references in books, there's no way I could have you're seeing my studio right here. This is the whole thing. This is
even if you make it, how are you gonna bring this project out to the world is the thing. Even if you made this in the 70s, you made this all by hand, you make all these cool posters and projects.
How's anybody gonna know?
What do? You have to go through the publishing industry, and then I don't know, you make a picture book, and suddenly all this idea gets diluted into something that has to feed a previous mold. While with the internet, we do have to feed a mold in a way, because you gotta have a website and stuff like that. There's a different mold, but it's much more flexible, much more accessible, I think.
Yeah, we really benefit from this kind of democratization of tools and techniques and the openness of people to talk about the art that they make and how they make it. I think it's so cool that you do these art streams where you just in real time are going through and kind of demystifying the creative process of doing these photo manipulations.
Yeah.
I could not do that. To me, it feels like somebody's watching over my shoulder, and I'm just like, I just can't. I get all weird.
I mean, I like it. In a way, you still open your vulnerabilities. You'll mess up. I mess up all the time, but I just have fun, poke fun at myself for doing it.
Yeah, when we show later, when we show those the time lapse of doing, you'll see on my Photoshop, I know there's going to be so many people out there what the hell is he, why is he doing it? That's the dumbest way to do something, man.
You know the thing.
That's how I work, dude.
It's like a 2-hour video compressed into 5 minutes. It goes so fast that it seems like you're amazing. You're just blazing through it.
There we go. Yeah.
So time lapses are fantastic. They make you look like you know what you're doing. So I love that. We'll see later. But yeah, streaming stuff is again something that could have never existed until very recently.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I think for an artist, it makes a lot of sense if you have the courage, I guess, to start, because
it is courage, and I think it's confidence.
At the end of the day, it's something you're just sharing the creative process and the stuff you're already doing. So you're not actually putting any extra time into this, and you're able to chat with people, and it allows people that like your work to know a bit more and.
He definitely inspired me. I might have to just bite the bullet and start.
Hell yeah.
Start doing a little bit of streaming when I do some work, because. I think it's very positive to kind of open it up to people to say hey, you can do this too, and anybody. It's just some software. It's just kind of playing with it and being okay with making mistakes, and not everything you make is going to be good. I'm very guilty. You post the successes, you post the good finished stuff, and then destroy everything that didn't fit that.
And there's also this. I guess if you're doing this publicly and everybody's seeing your creative process, there's also the thing of opening it up a little bit and being open to suggestions. You'll see that when I do the flyer and the brochure later, I'm just listening to people's ideas and incorporating them, and it's about this kind of water park within the flesh pits for where you drop your kids off so they go be annoying someone else.
Great. It's so good.
and people like we were talking about the like swimming in a disgusting pool of whatever horrible fluids in there, and people started saying, "Oh, there must be like weird clumps in there, like weird protein clumps," and we ended up adding that to the text itself, and there in one of the photos is this big splash, and there's clumps flying around, so it just added to it, and it was very fun. That's horrifying, says someone. You'll see later. It's fun. I think it's a very good mix in the Mystery Flash Pit is the mix between these very horrifying things being presented as, you're presenting them for tourists. So you're going to these like weird horny pools with like pheromones, and it's the most disgusting thing ever, but it's presented as this like cool spa thing, and that part is amazing.
So I saw in the chat someone had asked, how do you find what is scary beyond just, oh no, being eaten is bad? How do you dig deeper? I would say it is kind of this attitude of kind of taking real things, because the real world has plenty of things which are horrifying, just by nature of what they are. The deep ocean, the cold, capitalism, big business. There's so many things that are already, just on their own, these kind of terrifying things that because we confront them often enough, we're kind of divorced from this conception of them as being, a scary thing. But I think if you can kind of just stop and take something that might otherwise kind of seem mundane or, in context, it's not scary. You remove it from that context, and you really just examine that thing. Like, I think like hot springs, we were talking about that. That's a good example of, it's most people, having myself been to several hot springs, it's this kind of relaxing thing that is, has medicinal benefits. But when you really investigate that and begin to look at, well, okay, this is water that has like been miles under the ground, been warmed by the heat of like the earth itself. So like all the journey this water has taken from, being rained on some mountain and it drips down through the kind of hydrology and the water table, all this kind of stuff. What all has this water been through? And there's not a good way to know.
Yeah.
We have best guesses, and I love how this, especially kind of in the modern age, this kind of scientific confidence of, well, we can describe these things using multiple syllable words. And so we're fairly confident that we understand exactly, but it's like, there's observation, there's, logic, calculation, but a lot of it is kind of best guess.
Yeah.
And presented in a way as if it's truth. But once the deeper you understand these kind of more esoteric sciences and things, you kind of come to a weird understanding that like, there's so much that we don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of the thing if people I've known a few aerospace engineers who like they don't fly, and I'm sure people have kind of heard these kind of anecdotes of these people who, when you understand kind of how the proverbial sausage is made, you don't want anything to do with it. It's like, this is, I don't know, this is...
You understand that we know nothing. It's just...
Yes.
Flying over the
so that's
hands.
to me at least in my work, the natural world and the built world in equal measure are both very, very scary.
Yeah. I love
fragile
with the whole like scientific words and stuff. I love the scientific like lingo you built around the Mystery Flash Pit. One of my favorite images is one that's just a textbook, and it's like just baroque. It's extremely complicated relations between ventriobiology. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Ventriobiology and geology.
For. It's just deliberate obfuscation.
Exactly. I love that.
Because I think there's a certain like, especially I remember being a little kid and looking at, some books about like anatomy or geology, and kind of seeing these terms that you have no idea what this means or what they're talking about, but there's such confidence that it comes across as being this kind of tome of like lore, this could be understood, but it's talking about these impossibly large systems that we can only really abstract in our knowledge and appreciation of. That is a big core thing. Probably in any project I ever do, we'll probably have those kind of weird words and
same. I love that.
Similar.
I love one of my favorite things is making up a fake disease and making it like completely, like, even if it's surreal, right? You give it enough like weird lingo and confidence. Like, I studied medicine, so I know
I was
all
going
the
to ask about that. I was waiting for kind of a good time. I saw on your website and on your Twitter bio that you have an MD. So you went to med school.
Yeah, I finished med school and then I said, let's do art.
Hey man, I went to architecture school and I said, let's do art. That's really cool.
I think it's fun also to bring that background into it, and there's this whole project I want to do that it's always like somewhere in the future, because right now I have too many like ongoing series to see juggle, but there's this whole project I want to do about medical horror, and it's all about this one doctor, through one doctor's notes and like x-rays and stuff, you find out about all sorts of creepy stuff, but presented through this clinical lens, which I think is great for body horror.
Because that stuff is terrifying. Especially as someone very uninitiated to that world and the lingo and the procedures and processes. That is the amount of anxiety in the real world kind of attached with the medical industry, especially in the United States, for reasons we don't need to get into. I think the world needs that. You need to make it scarier. I love one of my favorite authors, Jurassic Park, Michael Crichton. He was a doctor, a medical doctor, and I think that you can kind of see that in his work, not just as medicine, but kind of the analytical rigor by which he kind of works through the ideas. And reading on your own website, especially your Megalomorpha series, where you kind of talk about the taxonomy of these creatures and kind of the science of it. That's good. That you can see it. It comes through a little bit. At least I feel like I can kind of pick that.
I love because I guess my Megalomorpha series is kind of close to your project as well, because they're both these worlds that are presented only through little slivers of evidence, and just like these little stories that all are a little piece, and you kind of have to piece things together. So I love just giving people a spin. Like you'll first talk about these bugs as if they're being adored and like saints, and they're making statues of them. They're like treating them as gods, and suddenly you'll turn around and give these biological scientific description of them, so people don't really know like where it's coming from. Like it kind of leaves more space to make your own guess, your own theory as to what they are. That's fun. I like that a lot.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, next one is all gonna be about this church. I'm like nearly done working on it, but it's gonna be about this church in like somewhere in Norway that like one bug gets there and starts like pheromoning everyone into like adoring it, so it just turns everything into a cult. It's great. I really want to put that one out. I'm really proud of it.
It's good. I think it must. I'm wondering if there is a because you're in Spain, correct?
Yeah.
I'm curious if there is some kind of cultural um, difference, because I feel like my gut reaction to giant bugs is holy hell. Like we need to kill this thing immediately. And I'm wondering if that is kind of a more, that I know for sure in Texas that is a kind of,
Yeah.
for better or worse, default reaction to many things. But I was fascinated in yours how your initial approach to these was to these large insects was a positive one. They're admired.
And to for me, I mean, there's no culture. I think in Spain, the reaction is going to be the same if they see a big bug. But for me, I mean, the whole big bug thing came from. I was, before doing horror, I was doing these like surreal, colorful things. Like, it had nothing to do with what I do nowadays. And I decided, like, I want to do something with horror, and I just dug out these old images of like archaeologists pulling something out, and I'm like, and that was the first story I did. And I was thinking, like, what could I put in there that would be creepy? And suddenly I see a post on Twitter of someone that finds, like, what the hell is this? Like, really freaked out. And it's this pupa of I don't recall the species of moth, but one of those really big moths that have like huge wings. So the pupa is like pretty big. It looks like this alien artifact. And I was like, suddenly it clicked. I was looking for something to put in an old picture that looked creepy, and this looks like a weird alien artifact. So I was like, and it kind of grew organically from that. So it's kind of like yours. It kind of started from this one little thing, and I was like, okay, let's turn this into a little series where they keep finding bugs in different places, all with this old school vibe. And it eventually like grew into, like, eventually I came up with some more lore for them, but at first it was just like, let's put something creepy in there.
That's the phrase. That's what unites all this. Like, let's put something terrible in there. Let's put something horrible.
What's the most horrifying thing to put on there?
You know what this space needs? We need giant bugs.
Yeah,
give them hands. Why not? Let's.
It kind of came from there. I was not even intending to switch to horror. It was this. It was supposed to be this one thing I did, and then I would come back to my surreal things, and then I really like horror, so I kept making things, and people kept liking it. So.
I would say I would characterize myself as much more science fiction, like with the Flesh Pit. I would characterize it as a science fiction story. So my view is that science fiction and horror, a lot of it is horror is it was something I read that was horror can be just science fiction viewed from like an individual's perspective.
Yeah, I like that.
But if you talk about, say like a zombie apocalypse outbreak, which that's been done to death.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's some cool original thing that will be done, but as far as I'm concerned, it's been done to death. So I use it as an example. But talking about zombies as on a kind of global kind of perspective versus an individual having to kind of fight for survival is a very different kind of story. And that kind of the dichotomy and relationship between those perspectives is something I'm very interested with my work in kind of investigating and looking at.
Yeah. I guess it falls more into that, your work falls more into that global perspective where the individual stories are there, but they're not like experienced directly. You'll get these, this local attraction, and there's this pile of calcified clowns. And you don't get the first person horror of being turned into a calcified pile of clowns, but you get the aftermath and it's told from a bird's eye view, I guess.
Yeah, try to, yeah. Because then what I think that forces you to, or a reader to do, is to kind of, if you have any sense of empathy at all, then you go, that must have been horrible.
Yeah.
But then you have to imagine it, because it's I try not to. say exactly what happened, just suggest it and show the aftermath, like you're saying, and then that wonder, that kind of unknown, that's, whatever an individual's specific kind of fears and anxieties are, those fall into place. And that's going to be far more compelling than anything that any artist or writer can come up with. Is some deep personal fear someone has.
I really like that. It's it's what we were talking about before about telling it through artifacts, telling a story through artifacts. It's something I repeat a lot. So if you heard me say this a million times, I'm sorry, guys. But it's this idea, I like to call it found horror, where it's not horror you directly experience, so that it's implied to be directly experienced by you. Just like, oh, there's this creature running behind you. What do? You get the hell away from there. That's as a reader, that's the reaction you'll get. When you find instead something that has happened and you just find some clue of it, that's what I call found horror, because it puts a screen of safety in between the reader and the horror and allows you to kind of view it from a point that feels safe to you, but where you can still like guess what horrible things might have happened. And what's funny is that the reaction goes from being from getting away and kind of like escaping this horror to like getting closer and being curious about it and trying to learn more. It's kind of morbid curiosity.
Yeah, let's go explore the alien derelict spaceship. That's fine. Yeah, let's go look at the egg. Nothing. What could happen?
Exactly. So you're saying it from like this kind of divorced perspective, where you're not the one that is experiencing horror. You're just discovering this hidden truth.
Yes. Yeah. The atrocity, the bad, it's already happened. It's in the past.
Exactly.
Like you can't do anything about it. But except to read and learn more.
Mm-hmm. Try to go deeper into the flesh pit. It's a metaphorical flesh pit.
Yes, yeah. We each of us has our own metaphorical flesh pit, personal flesh pit.
Exactly.
Interpret that however you will. I don't.
Exactly. Okay, so talking about artifacts, so we show off the little brochures we made, little artifacts we created. Okay, let me put this here. Oh, I'm gonna have to recut your camera in a sec, but no worries. So here we have the first of them, and I guess you'll be seeing them if you're on stream. You'll be seeing everything a little bit later, but don't worry. Hold on, let me recut so people can see you. There we go. We're on the screen, zooming around. So this is a brochure I made, and it's for this fake kind of amusement water park that exists deep within the flesh pit. So and a lot of it was just like me and the chat in stream just like memeing around and trying to find the funniest things to put, because it's this kind of like thing in between funny and horror. So we took these are just some slides, and I put some.
Look at his face. He's. I can't tell if he's having a great time or if he's like in agony.
Yeah, exactly. He's just coming out of this intestine thing.
Oh gosh.
So
this is great.
It says Slippery Falls, world's deepest amusement park.
Amusement park.
Let your troubles slip away, and then like there are so many like cursed phrases that sound somewhere in between some marketing trick for trying to convince people to go into this.
Gut gusher, what a terrible. Oh.
Slip down the entrail slides, go down the toilet, gut gusher. Take a dip in the amniotic pools and refresh yourself in the third course. And here's the clumps I was talking about. So this is just a picture of a water park of some people going through a boat, and I just added these strange.
I like the little logo touch.
And here's the logo.
Very
yeah,
nice.
That's why I added the signature. I came up with I came up with the phrase "sloppy fun," and people told me to keep it, so I kept it.
I like in the chat. Imagine the smell. Indeed, imagine the smell.
Imagine that smell. And of course we put a stain, a mysterious stain in the corner, and it's kind of this reddish brown. So.
Probably somebody had it in their pocket when they went down the slide.
Exactly.
It's just. Oh man.
And they got splashed, and so we put like "Don't mind the clumps" here in the corner. And of course that was another one of those genius touches. I don't know if somebody suggested it or if it came to my brain, but they say entertain your kids at Slippery Falls while mom and dad go enjoy or age-appropriate attractions, because it is like next to the horny pools, right? Or come on your own after dark for our late night slip-in experience.
Late night slip-in. That's what a sentence. Late night slip-in. That is. Is that what the kids call it now? I don't.
And then of course, I had my.
You gotta have the big block legal disclaimer.
The legal disclaimer that. So okay, we had someone in chat with legal experience actually like coaching me through this to get all these all the text there. So a bunch of legalese. It accepts the inherent and other risks associated with the use of or participation in or on any amusement attraction, including but not limited to loss of property, superficial injury, burns, enzyme damage, existential despair, pruritus, protein clump anaphylaxis, death, etc.
So what is pruritus? I'm not familiar with that.
That's itching.
Okay. Well, of course, yeah.
Enzyme damage, of course, because you're like floating in weird fluids.
Children under 12 get in free. I mean, that's what a bargain.
That's a bargain.
Yeah, you got entertainment for the kids. That's
exactly.
Well, of course, you got this whole thing set in Futura here too. That's just
Futura. Yes. That's best font.
Very nice.
And I think here it's set up so mine will play first. Yeah. So here you're seeing the time lapse of how it was made. We'll just leave it on the background there. You'll see like messages from chats because this was during a stream, so the chat is like.
Oh wow, that's like a real slide there.
Yeah, I use a real slide with all the supports and stuff, and they just cover the slide parts with worms. Because worms feel organic enough. I wasn't about to go pull out intestines for this.
Add some worm flesh in there. That's great.
That is some worm flesh.
I love how the supports then they begin to take on almost a nautical kind of flavor, like almost like a ship's mast. That's really nice.
Yeah, I don't know where this weird slide was, but it was in the middle of
it looks like fun.
Yeah.
Like a mall or something. I don't know.
It's like in a patio in an old building, so I don't know exactly what the deal was with it, but it was good reference. Yeah, so made it a worm. It was a worm.
Oh, you got the.
And here's the guy slipping. And his face was like kind of ambiguous, which I love.
Yes, yeah, you got that kind of like it's 50% enjoyment, 50% anguish.
Exactly. Does the halftone filter you applied here too is really nice. That's something I need to get better at that. I'll send you because I use a tutorial on YouTube from a guy that does all these amazing graphic design stuff and just puts it up on YouTube. It's like a really small channel, and the font, I actually used one of those things for my grandfather's crate that I was talking about before. They had these tourist brochures. And I used the letters themselves to make
nice. Yes, I just pick and
choose. Yeah, a bit of pick and choose there, but it was gotta look way more authentic
Looks
than
good.
anything I
It
did.
looks great.
So
Yeah, that little drop shadow, that's so good.
those
Yeah,
are f-
at the end, maybe if we take some questions or something. I've got a
yeah.
few books I was going to suggest.
Oh yeah.
Like, if people are more like into the graphic design kind of that angle of things. But, oh yeah, you got that, man, this is so fun. Your troubles slip away. Gosh.
And you'll see me pull out, like I was pulling out reference. I tried to cut some of those parts out, but I was trying to pull up reference from the brochures you did, because that's like really good inspo.
Yeah, we were talking about, with collaboration, every person kind of brings their strengths. I was going to say, yeah, that is what I can bring to a project. For anyone interested in collaborating at any time, I can use Helvetica. That's my big.
Helvetica. I mean, it's
Put some tightly kerned Helvetica on just about anything, and it looks
exactly
good.
exactly. I mean, that's the most classic font you'll get. I'm more of a Futura kind of person, but
You can't go wrong with Futura.
yeah. Oh yeah, so we added googly eyes at some point. You might see them in the corner. That's one of the things people can unlock with their points on stream. They get points by
Nice.
watching, and then if they get enough, they can unlock like me putting googly eyes somewhere. So I think they're one of the protein clumps here.
Nice. Chunky. I'm getting a lot of kind of action park vibes from this.
Yes, we're actually we're talking about it. That's the park where they had these water slides with the looping and stuff in it. That's like that so many people got injured in. Yeah, definitely. We're definitely aiming for those vibes.
See in the chat really, some
totally managed.
Sora 1326 says made a joke on the stream about the attraction being closed on Sundays because people didn't took off their watches and stuff and caused the ride indigestion. That's great.
You need to put like antacid in the ride from time to time so people don't burn off by.
Yes. Those are very reasonable prices too. That's
we went. Somebody linked the. Oh, let's pause it here because let's show the. Okay. So somebody linked the prices of Disneyland in like the 70s, and I just copied those, like general entrance and child for children, but.
Can I say something about prices? Just briefly.
Yeah.
I want to address a something many people have brought up about the flesh pit, specifically on the kind of amniotic thermal springs poster. Almost every time I've seen on like a breakdown video or live stream where somebody's talking about the flesh pit, they look at the prices and they think they're just ridiculous because I think they're imagining that poster was in the 70s, which yes, like $12 for a bottle of water in the 70s would have been ridiculous. That poster is from like 2006.
Yeah.
It is very expensive, but it's not like a $50 bottle of water. That's a very, very dumb niche little thing that I've seen so many people. Which ultimately that's my fault for not making it clear on the poster when it was from. But I'm like, it wasn't. Anodyne's like, they're a bunch of greedy sons of bitches, but like they're not that bad.
But it does feel, to me, it felt like a more modern, definitely more modern looking one. So I didn't.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I still thought like, of course, it's like theme park prices, but it's not like, I didn't think it was crazy prices. Yeah, that's cheap by today's standards. That's true. So okay, now let's see the brochure that Trevor made for. So the idea was we each did one based on the others' work, and like non-canon, just like something for fun. So can you tell us what you went for here?
Yeah, so kind of like I had mentioned earlier, you got these giant bugs and such, and to me that's like, we got to take care of that. That's dangerous. You can't just have these giant bugs flying around. So I was thinking, okay, you have these bugs. There's going to be concern amongst the general population about giant moths and whatnot. And where there's concern, there is the possibility of profit.
Exactly.
So I thought, well, of course, some enterprising company out there is going to think, well, okay, there's a problem. How can we solve this problem at a high price? So I thought, well, okay, we already have a wonderfully large industry, at least in the United States, and I would assume the rest of the world as well. Yeah. Of just absolutely horrible chemicals to kill bugs at the expense of poison water and things. So I thought, you got big bugs, you need big solutions. So
exactly.
Let's do some bug killing devices that are just large, kind of partially inspired by stuff like. I think in the Lost World, Jurassic Park, they got their cool little fleets of. I am such a sucker for special vehicles, and anytime you have just getting to have fun and really dig into let's make a weird truck with a giant fly swatter. Let's do that. Let's so that's what this is. Some I don't know imaginary company,
an alternate world in which the megalomorpha have succeeded and taken over and are just everywhere.
Or even if they haven't, even I almost like the idea that they have not. There's not even these bugs. They are not a threat at all. But they through the media and through this they have manufactured the concern
exactly.
to sell these
even better.
Townships and kind of urban areas, farmers, something like that, to get them all riled and spooked up about these bugs, which are not a threat at all.
I love that. That. And
that's what we got here.
One little thing I loved is, hold on, I think I need to turn my camera off. It says proudly made in the USA. Little sticker there. That's certificate of authenticity. I love it. And my favorite, I think, is the mobile attraction apparatus. This huji lamp. I love it.
I got just a big blocky yellow, this, I don't know. I see these kinds of trucks, with oil derricks and chemical whatever, all the stuff they do here, and it's like they're never doing anything good. It's always bad. So borrowing a little bit of lingo there from Starship Troopers, it's an ugly planet, a bug planet. The only good bug is a dead bug. That kind of. Fake corporations are really fun to write for because you can kind of vent a little bit of frustration, but it's not even you can't go too over the top because there will always be some boneheaded small company out there that is you cannot believe that's a real business talking like this. So
okay, so let's put the time lapse. So Trevor sent me even the time lapse of the drawings, which are fantastic.
Yeah,
I love those. I love those drawings.
So I'm very kind of analog in the way that I make things. I try to, I've got so many sketchbooks full of kind of ideas. Just because that's with my training in architecture and kind of being a little bit old school, older. That's how I think best. So always start with a pencil paper sketch. In this case, I started using a very light value marker on some trace paper. Which, if you'll note, the video starts with the kind of marker blocking in already done, because that's to kind of hide that there was 2 or 3 for each of these that I kind of got was that's not great. So you get that one. And then, I'll go over it with either, pencil. This time I did pen to kind of, add detail, block it in. Sometimes if it's something I'm not as familiar with, I will have, tons of reference photos of kind of either parts of like submarines or aircraft, hinges or little mechanical bits that I can kind of with trucks and things. I kind of have a better handle on some of it. This you can kind of
so
see.
these are without reference.
No, this is just. I had a couple pictures, just like some orthographic views of like Jeeps, because the Jeep shape is kind of weird. But like flatbed trucks, and especially that big rig truck. I see so many of those. So the anatomy of that, I'm pretty familiar with, and then I just kind of exaggerate. I make the wheels a lot thicker, make the headlights bigger, to kind of. Cool. Some emphasis, and then put with like an old cartoon bug sprayer gun on the top of it.
It's a mix between the cartoony and like the big rigs and stuff. It works very well.
Yeah, very cartoony. There's a term that I heard someone use that I've tried to adopt into almost everything I make, of making things toyetic. That's something I think honestly I think it was a Star Wars documentary about making the original Star Wars movies, where I forget if it was George Lucas or one of the guys involved with doing some of the model and the designs for things like the X-Wings and the Starfighters. Oh no, it was Doug Chang who did some of the prequel designs. Talked about Star Wars. One of the core design principles is that things need to be toyetic, where you have to be able to look at a drawing and go like, yeah, that looks like something that you could make and like play with.
I like that.
That to me is something very important for vehicles as a design philosophy of as even though it's adults, like people. Cars and trucks and machines, like there's kind of a fun aspect to them, especially when you kind of overemphasize certain proportions and things. And for merch, like that's another great. That's
true. No, I love that.
Yeah, we got the poison,
little poison symbol
and stuff. The logo. I didn't film that part. Making the logo, that was maybe 5-7 minutes in Adobe Illustrator, just like, I don't know, a name, and then we'll put some red in there to contrast against the yellow.
To be honest, it feels so natural that like it feels like one of the I don't know, so realistic that I even wondered, like, oh, did it take like a real company?
Oh no, I do that in some of the FleshBit stuff where I'll just like use a logo, but I try to be very like subtly, put it small.
But I wasn't Coca-Cola thing.
Yeah, that is. So far, I haven't received a cease and desist. So
I mean,
either they're okay with it, or they just haven't seen it yet. But
they probably get so many people using their brand.
Like with the Megalomorpha, I was trying to go for almost a kind of ambiguous, like when this would be, vaguely 60s, 70s, 80s. That's kind of what I went for. Mostly that's kind of my creative wheelhouse, is in that era. But
I like that. I tend to go older, but I really want to do more printed stuff like that, more flyers and more posters and stuff. Like the posters I make for the podcast that I put on Twitter. It's just a little excuse to make some old school 80 horror movie posters with the terrible taglines. I
told you before the stream, man, your logo, the household with like the kind of backlit, very John Carpenter.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
So
that's
good. Wonderful.
Or is there a link to the artwork Trevor did? I don't think you've posted it.
No, I'll probably post it on Twitter. I wasn't sure if we were going to do like it was a reveal or something, but yeah, I'll post it on Twitter.
Yeah, I'll post it on Twitter tomorrow as well, man. And I'll link to yours. Like, we'll because more people should follow you on Twitter. Like, more than, because I think so. I just linked it for you guys in case somebody doesn't follow Trevor on Twitter. Yeah, I guess it's one of the problems of having the project being the main thing that people know is that, I don't know. I want to draw more people, more eyes towards like you as a creator, because I think you apart from this project, you probably have like a lot more in store, and I think people should know
Thanks.
about that.
I'm a very big believer that the kind of the art should kind of stand on its own. But I do appreciate that you're trying to kind of promote me a little bit. I could probably do a better job of that, but because then it's harder to get the kind of, we were talking about the QAnon conspiracy weirdos who then claim that it's real. So why give that up? I don't.
No, but I think it's it's I guess we were talking about before about these anonymous internet stories versus the more current trend of there being creators that people follow and gravitate towards. I think while you do have your projects and it's its own thing, I still want to draw more people to the creator, because I know at some point, like, you'll either get tired of the Flash Pit or you'll want to do more things, right? You're working on a project. Then people will know. That's important.
Thank you. Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. And that's how more artwork gets made, man. More bills I can pay by just drawing weird stuff on the internet, the more weird stuff I'm going to draw. So
do you like live on the project right now? Is that something that, like, I'm not going to ask for income, but like
no,
is it your main thing currently?
As of like the last let's see, 6 or 7 months, yeah. For some reasons I don't really want to get into. I left my kind of previous employment with the architecture firm I was working with, mainly to pursue some kind of additional just architecture work. But in the process of doing that, with my the Patreon, and then as well as merch sales, I've very graciously been able to kind of continue working on the Flesh Pit and future creative projects. Yeah. Thanks entirely to all of you guys. So thank you.
I mean, guys, you should go follow, or go throw some money at Trevor on Patreon. Hold on, I get a link for the chat, because it's very important for people like us, for artists, like, just trying to put out, because we just put out stuff for free. It's stupid. Like,
it's as long as I have any power over it, there will never be an advertisement on the Mystery Flesh Pit page, or any future kind of thing that I have any. If it's all in my direct control on a website, I have some opinions about capital. Maybe that's obvious by some of my work, but no, I've been tremendously fortunate to have a fantastic response from the world at large for this dumb artwork that I do online. So thank all of you guys for supporting it. If you haven't, buy a T-shirt, man. They're good T-shirts.
I haven't. Yeah, I've seen. I was looking at the merch. I didn't know there was merch. I just found out the other day while looking at the page again. They're amazing. I need to get one of those T-shirts.
Yeah, I'll send you one, man. I got you. I'll send you one.
No worries. I get it. I get it from the place.
Yeah. I'm a being a kind of from the architecture, industrial product design, that kind of thing. It's very important to me that, like, if I put my name or artwork on something, that it's like it's got to be a good shirt on its own.
Yeah.
So that then people will wear it, so that they can then advertise what you're doing.
And it's like it's a perfect kind of thing to wear because it feels like something that's real. But you just read it and it says Mystery Flesh Pit, so it's just the name and the more realistic logo with the weird name
I live
gives
for
a
that
really
kind of that
cool reaction.
double take.
Exactly.
I have one of the hats, and it just has the Wordmark logo on it, and I love, I'll be out with my wife at a a restaurant, or we'll be at the park or something, and I'll see like somebody will do a double take. I'll be like, wait, what was that? I live for that.
It's very good. It's very good. Yeah, and you have so many cool logos and stuff to put on merch.
It's fun. Logos are fun. I've done a little bit of kind of freelance graphic design in the past. Logo design. Okay, I'm sure anybody, if you go through my Reddit's profile and you start scrolling way back, you'll see all kinds of embarrassing mistakes of graphic of very sophomore graphic design. But I mean, I keep them up because it's like, that's just being honest. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, it's good to recognize your past history. It's good.
Which I will take this opportunity to let's see. I got a stack of some books here. Graphic design, on that topic. If any of you guys have not heard of a graphic designer named Aaron James Draplin, you guys. Yeah, his stuff. Geez, guy got such a crappy webcam.
I'll type it on text.
Draplin Design Company. That is kind of my. I would say I'm very much a student of Aaron Draplin in terms of kind of logo graphic design philosophy of using very punchy, bright, but geometrically simple logos. But if you watch, I mean, he has YouTube videos and tutorials and stuff. A very just kind of infectious enthusiasm for making things and design. So if you haven't heard of him, check him out. It's good stuff.
I only dabble in graphic design, but I like to make, every time there's an opportunity, I make a little logo for something. Like just within Megalomorph, there's this story about this oil company that also has a lot of those, capitalism vibes.
Yeah, just people being shitty.
I always with those stories, one big part is this is supposed to be happening in the real world, and how does nobody know about these giant bugs? So there has to be a way at the end of the story for it to get covered somehow, or it just never makes it out of this very local story. It always has to stay like kind of local and small. So for this one, my way of covering it up is that this oil company is like surveying to make some new to drill some new holes, and they just find these huge bugs, and they're like, hell no, if we let people know that there's this weird new species there, we're not going to be able to drill our new well. We're just going to keep this under wraps.
Yes.
So I took the opportunity to make this logo, and I guess it's easier if you're trying to imitate a style. You're trying to go for a specific vibe. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to go for an old company, specifically in a certain era. Right now it's all green because they're trying to make it look like they're eco-friendly. But specifically in a certain era, you'd go for like red and yellow and black, and it's like the old company colors. And like this very simple shapes and stuff. So I just copied the vibes of something.
And that's the tragic thing that I, kind of with, the fictional oil companies, Anodyne, all of this stuff, these real life, evil companies, their design and aesthetic sensibilities, a lot of the time are beautiful. These are, like, I think hard pressed to find a better logo than Enron. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that at all. Like, gorgeous logo. And the way that they're building, they have this beautiful kind of mirrored sculpture of it, and it's like there's so much art and thought went into this thing that was like pure evil.
Evil.
Like, I don't know what it is. It's something constant in fiction where it's the bad guys have the coolest stuff. It's, you know, I don't.
Yeah, I love the Anodyne logo as well. It's a very good one.
That was, I had fun. I don't think I've ever told this about the Anodyne logo. That started. So before I was ever doing the Flesh Pit thing, I was working on a board game. I was designing a tabletop board game about space mining. Where, you know, it was something, you know, like you're very inspired by the original Alien film.
Yeah.
In its aesthetic and thing, but the idea that each, you know, you'd have players, and each player would be, you know, some kind of nondescript mega corporation sometime in the future, you know, sending out these refineries and ships to mine star systems and such. And so I had a document where I designed probably 2 or 3 dozen very just kind of simple geometric logos to, you know, kind of color coded and all this, you know, kind of just represent them. So people could then insert their own ideas about what these companies were.
Yeah.
And so when I was making that very first Mystery Flesh Pit poster, I needed a logo for, you know, this company, and I had like the Anodyne name from a different project. So I was like, oh, I'll use that, and then I just opened the logo, and the first one that kind of just looked like, oh, that's an A.
That's
right,
an A. Yeah.
We'll make it red and blue because, you know, America red and like that's a, you know, it's a solid color combination. Done. And I barely gave any thought to it, and now it's like, well, now I gotta like put it on everything. So thank goodness I chose that one instead of like some of these others were a lot more. They wouldn't work at a small size. So
yeah, I mean, I guess you happen to choose a solid one. Oh, you already posted this on Twitter. Big Bug Hunting. Let me give that a retweet. That's perfect.
And this is why, like, I wish I had some. I wish I could dedicate more time to really getting into game development, because my mind was spinning of, like, you know, those arcade games, Big Buck Hunting, where, you know, you're shooting deer or whatever. Like, how fun would that be? Some kind of light gun game. The style of maybe the old Jurassic Park games where you're like, you know, you got these gigantic bugs coming at you.
I love that.
Like, simple premise like that. I that would be so fun to make that.
I would love that, but I think a game about the Flesh Pit. I mean, if I could just make it myself, I would just make a more quiet exploration game with like pretty minimal combat, where it's just like the environment that is the main character. I would love to see that.
There's a video game, Alien Isolation.
Yes, I love that.
I loved that game. My favorite parts were kind of the early game where you're just kind of quietly walking around before the alien, before the robots, you know, or the androids, start, you know, getting defective and all. It turns into an action movie. Those very quiet, yes. Like, I think what was it? The negative term might be like a walking simulator, but like for the Flesh Pit, I don't know. I think if I could make a game, that's how it would be. And buddy, do I wish I could? I feel like that is. I feel like that you could make a bundle on a Flesh Pit game, but I.
Oh yes. If we had the resources.
Yeah, any AAA game studios out there want to get in touch? My DMs are open.
Hey, if Lucas Pope wants to get in touch with me and do you know, have you played Return of the Obra Dinn?
No. I know Lucas Pope. I'm familiar with his work. I haven't played this one though.
Okay, you're basically you're going to this old derelict ship that is just this ship that has disappeared, and sometime later it's found just drifting with nobody in it, and you are the insurance agent in like the 17 somethings.
Okay.
And you have a
This
magic
looks
watch.
gorgeous.
See, yes, the
Looking
art
at
style is
photos
gorgeous.
of it on.
The main mechanic is
you
have a magic watch, and if you see a dead body, you can see the last moment of its life. It's like this freeze frame, and you can walk through it. And only through these dead bodies and those freeze frames, like those vignettes you get of what happened in this ship, you have to put together who each of these people were, how they died, and just like you have to fit together their faces and how they're dressed. It's obviously a bit low poly, so you have to like recognize them physically, know what their posts are and how they died, and just fill out this form. You're just an insurance agent.
Cool.
And it's the best execution of a detective game I've ever seen, because they tell you nothing. I will
definitely have to give that a play.
They literally tell you nothing. You have to piece it together yourself. If I could make a game about Megalomorpha, it would be something like that. Something where you get little vignettes and subdued. You have to kind of investigate them. That would be...
That's cool.
But yeah, one of my favorite games. It's one of those games where you're like, oh, I wish I had a memory ray where I could just erase my memory of a specific thing, so I could play this game again from scratch. Because now it's not going to be the same.
Man, I'll
have to wait a few years.
I think like Papers, Please is like that for me. That was so good.
So good as well.
Portal was fantastic. Alien Isolation. Check that out.
I really those early moments in the game where you're just exploring and you have more time to settle down and just look around you and check out the little details that they put in. I love that part. Which giant bug pheromone this whole town, exactly. Pheromone is now a verb officially. Yeah, but God, so many cool projects, Trevor.
So much cool. Well, there's so many cool things in the world. We live in for all the bad things, given that, for all of the very dark things done, kind of in the present climate, there are a lot of good things. That's something that I try to think about. It's like we are kind of living in a golden age of creative projects where so many of these are. And we've already kind of talked about all this and stuff, but there is good. There's good in the world. You got to find it. It's not going to be advertised to you, but there is good in the world.
Exactly. So, and just as a reminder for everybody, support it. Like if you find something good like that, just if you can support artists on Patreon or buy the merch, that kind of thing. That's what allows people like us to just put out content for everyone for free, which is a scary concept to do because you're like, just, you're banking on the attention that gets to get you like, some commissions or some like...
Otherwise, man, I'm gonna have to go back to designing lake houses for like Ford dealership owners, and please, I beg you.
Would you rather have that or underground pit of horror where calcified clowns exist? Like, what's a better world? But yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it in that note.
That sounds good.
That's a really good final note to leave it in. Okay, Trevor, it's been a blast to have you here.
Well, thank you, sir. This was a lot of fun. Had a great time.
Yeah,
and when I'm a little less busy, we should definitely collaborate on something a little more substantial.
Do some world building.
We should. Let's do it, man. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you. I'll say bye to chat, but bye, Trevor.
All right, guys.
And hold on, let me put my camera out here. Whoa, that's a completely different thing. Hey, guys. Hope you enjoyed today's stream. It was Trevor's fantastic to have here, and I hope you guys enjoyed the talk as much as I did. And if you didn't know the Mystery Flash Pit, I hope this prompted you to like go check it out, because it's just such a great little project. Guys, I will be on just housekeeping personal notes. I'll be out for 2 weeks on a vacation, so there will be no streams then. Next stream will be probably on the 18th or the 19th when I get back. So yeah, we'll try to have like a little art stream and maybe just go directly back into another podcast, which I still won't reveal who it is because I still don't have it exactly planned. But yeah, vacations, exactly. Thank you everybody for coming and chatting. I hope I didn't miss any questions in chats. I was trying to read everything that happened, but sometimes it goes a little fast. So yes, when I get back from vacation, art streams if you guys want to see a little Photoshop. And until then, you guys take care, and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.